on the minds of all of the council and I believe most Houstonians is the execution-style murder of Deputy Goforth. Coming on the heels of the murder of a Louisiana state trooper who stopped to check out a vehicle that was wrecked in a roadside ditch. It was a shocking wake-up call for many of us. We all know that law enforcement is an extremely dangerous occupation, but the expectation is that it's dangerous when encountering a suspect or a potential perpetrator, not when doing something so simple as gassing up your patrol car and you're targeted simply for wearing a uniform. And it may have also been the situation in Louisiana. Anyone, I would hope, would stop if you see a wrecked vehicle, but for law enforcement, that's part of the job. And going back to the execution-style murders of two New York police officers nearly a year ago, this is something that we as a society need to discuss and address, and certainly something that I know has prompted a lot of not just heightened awareness and concern in law enforcement, but fear. And something that, in the situation with Deputy Goforth, he's one of our own, even though was not an employee of the city of Houston. He was a resident of Houston, and we will all mourn as a city and hope to take a moment of silence on Friday as he was laid to rest. Do you guys have items you want to talk about today?
Yeah, Mayor, there were two items on the agenda about the Bayou Greenways program. I wondered if you could just give an overview of where that stands now, your sense of the progress so far, and where these two items take us next.
Bayou Greenway 2020 is one of the most exciting things I've had the opportunity to work on as mayor. It's a transformative project designed to string the beads of existing trail systems into an integrated whole, but also designed to put accessible park and green space into every neighborhood of Houston by putting trails along all of the small rivers that cross the city. It is a public-private partnership where the city is putting $100 million in over the 5 to 7 years of the project, and the private sector is putting up to $150 million in. So we're leveraging better than 2 to 1. And contrary to a much misinformed comment at the council table, there is a strategic effort to put connecting pieces in first, to link large segments of trail first wherever those trails happen to be. And now we are beginning the process of acquiring right-of-way where necessary. In many of the trail segments, there's plenty of right-of-way existing in flood control property along the bayous, but in some areas there is an existing flood control easement that still is controlled by private property owners, and so we're confirming those tracts, and then in some rare instances also acquiring land. Those negotiations are ongoing, but it is being led by the Houston Parks Board, and I would encourage anyone who's interested in seeing what's happening to visit their website, see the entire plan, see where the individual segments have been acquired, and the projects that are being worked on currently. We're also integrating that with the federal applications for Tiger grants so that we have a seamless whole.
And the appropriation today, I guess, was focused in District B. There was another fairly large appropriation previously, right? I mean, can you describe sort of where we're at with the regional development? If there's any particular body that's further along than another?
In today's expenditure, it's primarily along bios that are on the north side of Houston, many of them in District B. It's not targeted to a particular council district. The bios are where the bios are. I don't have any granular details.
And then the only other question is the other item on the agenda was allowing for the use of eminent domain power in cases where the title's unclear or an owner is asking too high a price. What's your sense of the impact of that, or how?
We think the use of eminent domain will be minimal, if at all. Most of the property we're seeking to acquire is already flood control right-of-way, or rather, right-of-way, flood control easement next to their existing right-of-way, and it's we do have to compensate the landowner, but it's already something that there should be an expectation that it might have been used someday. There are productive negotiations going on with most of the landowners, and really the use of eminent domain should only be where title is unclear, and unfortunately there's been some speculation where property has been purchased subsequent to the creation of the program, and we don't have a whole lot of sympathy for that.
How common is that in your understanding?
It is very rare. We really, most of the work to date has been without any use of eminent domain, and most of the work we're doing now is with negotiated agreements.
Generally,
But we wanted to be clear that this is a public purpose and to pre-qualify these projects if necessary.
generally, the mayor's report clarified a lot of things about tourists. Why do you suppose tourists have become such an issue of discussion recently?
There are a lot of guys running around right now pontificating on things they know very little about, but they have a platform. And bad information gets magnified. And so it's our opportunity to continue to refocus on what the actual facts are.
Thank you.
Mayor, there was also a story in the paper today by a colleague of mine about the enforcement of a texting ban in school zones, that the city would need to install signs to allow that ban to be enforced, and that hasn't happened. It's a cost barrier. What is your sense of the importance of that and the city's ability or interest in doing that moving forward, installing something?
I've made no texting while driving a priority here in the city. We have had a public awareness campaign ongoing for several years. We've had PSAs. We've